Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of anywhere else? And that's because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time. They talk down to us. They think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Keyshawn Johnson talking about the whole situation with Rashee Rice. And as you can see in the picture, you know, it was these two cars that were racing each other, two very expensive cars, and they crashed and caused a whole bunch of other car crashes, you know, on the freeway. And then they fled. And I really wanted to make a video with this because I saw some comments that I did think were pretty outrageous. So I'm curious to see what you guys all have to say with this, where they were like, oh, this isn't that big of a deal. You know, even if it was him, you know, no one got hurt. And, you know, and so he'll just get, you know, kind of a slap on the wrist or whatever for just like leaving, you know, the scene or whatever. And it's like, my head nearly exploded when I saw that. Because first off, racing alone is a serious offense. Racing in this situation, endangering other people is a serious offense. Causing a multiple car crash is a serious offense. Someone got injured and had a 4-year-old son in the car, okay, which could have been devastating, okay, and then leaving the crime. This is a crime scene that they left. This is a hit and run. Even a fender bender hit and run is a serious offense. So the idea that this is not that big of a deal is insane to me. It truly is insane to me. And I love how during the draft process, right, they talk so much about character. Who is this person? What's their character? And then you have something like this happen, and then we're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's like, so does the character only matter before you get drafted, not after you get drafted? Like, the NFL has such a problem with these types of situations, these types of incidences, that to me, this just can't be understated or overlooked. It really can't be. I'm not saying that Rashee Rice now needs to be thrown out of the league, 17 game suspension, you know, whatever. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm not being an alarmist here. I'm really not. And I'm not saying that he is necessarily culpable. Because, you know, I'm not saying that he absolutely is culpable. He's done something wrong because it hasn't been released yet, whether he was driving or what the actual story is. He may have not been there at all. So this is all under the scope of, you know, not really knowing the whole story, not making any accusations towards Rice whatsoever. This is just if the situation is what it looks like it is, that he was driving or that he was there and then he left, what is the fallout of that? And that would be, you know, to me, a significantly bigger deal. And I feel as though it should be at least a few games of a suspension, because what does this say? You know, on one side, and I don't even necessarily believe this next thing that I'm about to say, how they always say how the NFL, it's about the children and role models and this or that. I always think that's nonsense. I forget who said this first, right? Where they talk about, oh, right, it's all about, you know, the children and that. But then it's like, you know, beer commercials and, you know, other pharmaceuticals that are geared towards older people, as well as, you know, all the gambling and stuff like that. So to act like they keep the children in mind is just absurd. But again, you know, you want to put all this type of stuff, you know, these political statements on the helmets and on the fields and all of this, and then you have something like this right here. It's like, are you going to be consistent or not? You know, to me, a slap on a wrist in this type of situation is just not okay from my viewpoint. So, but let's take a listen. And we'll see. I'm curious to see how they, what they think should happen.
They're searching for Chiefs receiver Rashee Rice as part of an investigation of a potential hit-and-run accident Saturday evening on Central Expressway in Dallas, about a mile from where Rice played at SMU. Police say a Corvette and a Lamborghini were speeding in the far left lane when the drivers lost control, causing a chain reaction collision that involved 4 other cars. 2 drivers were treated for minor injuries at the scene. 2 other passengers were taken to the hospital and treated for minor injuries. A police summary provided to USA Today said the occupants of the Lamborghini and the Corvette all ran from the scene without stopping to determine if anyone needed medical help or providing their information. According to the Dallas Morning News, Rashee Rice is listed as the suspected driver of the Corvette. We obviously don't have full details yet, but Keyshawn, what are your thoughts on athletes being involved in incidents?
The one real thing I want to say is the fact that they left makes me feel that they had to have been some sort of substance involved, because I can't imagine if you're completely stone cold sober and you get in a car crash like that, your instincts is just to run away and leave. Because how do you think you're going to get away with that? The cars are there. These aren't unmarked cars here. They have license plate. You have other stuff inside the car. Apparently there was cleats in the car. Like, they knew it was registered to Rice within seconds, because that's how the United States of America works. So to think that you'll be able to just like leave and run away is pretty bonkers to me, which makes me feel that there's just no way that everybody was just like, sober and knew what was going on. I can't make sense of that. And it's one of those things where it's like, well, I'm better off getting in trouble for a hit and run than getting in trouble for, racing while intoxicated of some sort. Which, again, I'm not saying that Rashee Rice was, or that anyone was, but I'm just, thinking out loud.
Incidents of this nature.
Well, first of all, this is unfortunate for Rashee, because I know him, and he's old enough to know better. So I'm pissed at him. I've already texted him. He ain't going to respond to me because my text was not nice. Okay, I spent plenty of time with him last year before the draft, doing the draft process, doing the whole thing.
Where?
Here in Los Angeles. Here in Los Angeles. And in Dallas as well. To get him to understand the life is getting ready to start. It's going to be different now. You can't, because he had, coming out into the draft, he had, some SMU, little red flag here, little red flag there. He wasn't the squeakiest, cleanest guy going. The Kansas City Chiefs.
Which is why he fell to the second round.
Yeah, which is why he probably fell to the second round instead of the Lake first.
Yep.
Went into a great situation in Kansas City in a great environment.
The best.
And they know how to handle situations that may be a little rocky coming in. But I'm genuinely mad at him, okay? Because he knows better, and I know he knows better.
Disgusting.
I understand you want to be with the homies and you want to hang out. I get all of that. But everybody should know better, okay? Because in the end, all it takes is this. It just takes that. All you got to do a couple years ago is look at Henry Ruggs. Okay? I knew him too. They tried to tell Henry the same thing. Say, man, you can't be, it's different now. It's different. You ain't going to get that pass the way you would in college on certain situations. It's a National Football League. Now, look, I don't know if he was driving. I don't know if he wasn't driving. I don't know if he was in the car. I don't know none of that. His name is linked to the vehicle because of the registration. So I'm hoping somebody stole his car. I don't know. I have no idea. But if he's involved in it, it's the stupidest thing that he ever can be involved in, let alone your own driving fast cars and racing somebody is the stupidest thing ever, man. I'm just telling you, I'm being honest with you. I have a sports car. And whenever I'm going over a speed limit that I shouldn't be going over, somebody, how they get on, somebody else get on the side and want to try to race, I just slow down like I lost my mind. Let me move on out the way. Y'all go ahead and y'all race, because I'm not in my car to race. If I want to race, I'll go to a track. But I'm so mad at him, man. I really am. I'm mad at him because he knows better. He knows better.
Well, Key, you said you don't know if he was in the car.
I don't know.
Still waiting on the information. I'm not going to speculate on all of this. For right now, all I know is the car is registered to him. The only thing I could be upset about him is probably not turning himself in, because they are looking for you. They're looking for some answers. You don't want your name to linger into the social media with the police officers for too long. They just want some answers, and if nothing was really wrong, then you should go and answer to them and move forward from this. Running from the crime scene, it's not a crime scene. People got hurt, but you can't leave
It is a crime scene.
But I don't know if it was him either.
I don't know.
Who knows if
You
it's
were
his brother
speeding
or
and caused a
cousin.
crash. That is a
You
crime
know,
scene.
maybe we live in such a time to where people want to film everything. I don't know if he wants to get away from the scene. If he's there, and you know you got people with camera phones and want to post you and embarrass you all over social media, I don't know what the answers is to all of that. That could be something, but at least answer the questions to what the police need to come ask you.
Yeah.
You know, don't prolong this, because then you got us wasting time talking about these things, and it could have been nothing. So, I mean, that's all I got to say.
The reason I say I don't know if he was driving, because I don't know. We don't have all the information, as you alluded to, Skip.
We don't.
There's pictures and video that surface out there that have very similar look. It look like Rashee. I mean, it just does.
It does.
The dreads, the body structure. So you don't know because it's not a clear cut, oh, that's him and who he is.
Yeah, agreed.
The reason, look, I just know, man, that when you grow up a certain way, and he's from the Dallas area, and he grew up a certain way.
It's like a Fort Worth suburb.
Yeah, from Fort Worth suburb.
Yeah.
You grow up a certain way. You got friends around you and people around you. Now you done made it. You won a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? You're making money. You get ready to, if you continue, you get ready to be one of the highest paid receivers in the history of the game 3 years from now. All of those sort of things. You got to just pick your surroundings and the people. It's okay to bring them along with you. But you bring the right people along with you, because if the ones that's with you don't want to eat lobster and steak, then you shouldn't rock with them. That's real talk. It makes me angry, Skip, because
You know Rice doesn't have his head on right. Because one, just look at this incident. And two, he got in a fight with Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, yelling at Patrick. Patrick Mahomes is the Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the leader of the Kansas City Chiefs and the face of the NFL. And you have the audacity. I don't care what Patrick Mahomes, even if Mahomes was out of line, even if Mahomes said the dumbest thing you've ever heard, you fall in line. Okay? So the fact that he couldn't even fall in line in the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes is insane to me. Insane.
anything could happen if he was in the car and driving it. Anything can happen. He could lose his life. He can kill somebody else. All of that. Yeah, again, I must say this before I give it to you. All you got to do is look at Henry Ruggs. Just look at that.
Yeah.
Just look at that situation.
All right. First of all, whoever was involved in this, whoever was driving, is so lucky nobody got killed. Right. So lucky, because at that high rate of speed on that expressway, which Keisha and I know very well, I lived there for a long time, you played there for a while, it's a very dangerous freeway. Runs right up to the middle of Dallas to the north and south. But the point is, when you involve four other cars and cars are spinning right and left.
There was a baby in one of those cars.
Ooh, yeah, that's what I said.
All right. So, look, I own a Corvette, and it has 755 horsepower. And I always kid around like it's a rocket ship. And every time I come to work, I'll get on it a little bit, because when we're out coming to work, nobody's out. But it's made for the track, and I'm pretty sure his was made for the track. It's not made for the city streets, and I wouldn't have got Hollywood Brown, but you're still it, man. You're still going to be the number one. And now you've risked it all. And the truth is, Keyshawn, everything you told him before the draft just fell on deaf ears, because he's like, no, it's me. It's me. It's me you're talking to. And yet, in a flash, it all can be gone. Just in an instant, your whole career can be gone. He made $2.5 million last year, which is not huge money, but by most people's standards, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. And he's scheduled to make $1 million next year. So it was compounded, insult to small injuries. At least you have to have the wherewithal. If you're involved in it and you look around and you hope nobody's hurt, the best thing he could have done was just stand strong and just wait for the police, because it's the only way to get out of it. It's the only way to get out.
If he was there, they ran from that doesn't make. I don't know, man. The decisions some of the young athletes make. Yeah. Driving cars and doing those sort of things. It's unbelievable to me.
I will be really furious if he was driving and he ran away and did all this and that there's no true repercussions. It's just some like fine or slap on the wrist, whatever it is. Whether it be like actual legal in trouble. Like, because the reality is if this was you or me and this happened, we wouldn't get a slap on the wrist. We would maybe do jail time. We would get a felony or a misdemeanor and a massive fine that really hurt us. This will be, if he just gets a slap on the wrist and pleads to a no contest or whatever, I mean, even just a misdemeanor, because I'm pretty sure even if this would be like a felony offense. I will be so furious because it's just not right. It's just not right. I'm all for second and third chances, but it's just not fair. Because I know I've messed up in the past and I've had to pay serious consequences. And I got news for you. I've done nothing as bad as that situation right there. Nothing as bad. But my repercussions were very bad. I mean, I can't go into it any more than that, but it was true life-altering repercussions. And if someone could do that and just get a slap on the wrist, but someone like me can't, that's insane to me. And it's obnoxious and it's absurd. And I hate when we talk about privilege versus not privilege and all this type of stuff. And it's like, it's just always, we live in two different lives, whether you're famous or rich or an athlete or wealthy or whatever it is, you get all these privileges that we don't, and it's not fair. Again, I'm not saying that Rice needs to just cook and needs to go to jail and all this. I'm not saying that at all. You know, whatever the truly actual appropriate repercussion for that needs to be given to him legally, and not give the benefit of the doubt and not give him a pass because he just won a Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes. And that's just the legal aspect of it all. Not to mention what the league should do. Because how do you do that and not get at least like 2-3 game suspension? Again, I'm not saying he has to miss the whole season. I don't really know what the appropriate action of that is, but it has to be something. Okay? It can't just be a fine and some community service and call it a day. Because that's abhorrent. It's abhorrent. It really, really is. So I'm really curious to see how this unfolds. How, what the true story is behind all of this, and if we even get the real story, and what the situation is because it's just, I fear that the repercussions won't be what's actually deserving, and so, which I'm already preparing myself for that, and honestly, I'm already like frustrated, by projecting that into the future, because I just know if that was me or you, my brothers, my mom, my dad, my friends, whatever, they did that and they were caught on camera and they fled the scene, yeah, they're getting in serious trouble. Not to mention if they had, if they were a teacher, they would be fired from teaching. Like, they would lose their job. Most jobs, they would probably lose. I'm not saying that Rashee Rice needs to be cut. He needs to be banned from the NFL. Like, I'm not saying that. I mean, I don't think even if that was a teacher should necessarily get fired. But that is what would happen if for the regular old average Joe and Jane. And so it's just, I will always take issue with these athletes, especially how they always want to complain about how hard their lives are and this, that, and the third, when they make more money than everyone, they have more privilege than everyone, and they get to mess up a million times and have minimal repercussions. So I'm really curious to see how this unfolds. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Please let me know what you're thinking in the comments below. What do you think should happen? What do you think the league should do? What do you think the repercussions should be? And as I said before, we are building an amazing community here, and it's really turning into something special. We're building something that we all genuinely are excited to be part of, something that we really feel connected to, and I'm really excited to see what this can become. Thank you so much, and see you next time.